Good morning. On this bowl of Question Crunch, we have Brian Soria, the creator of the globally participated October art challenge, Drawlloweeen. We talk about the process of maintaining Drawlloween, our mutual love of horror movies with practical effects, and the spooky plans he has in store for next month. For the past 5 years, an October tradition of mine is to participate in. Well, I love art challenges. I love art challenges. Let me make that. I gotta make that clear. Is that I love art challenges, and every October for the past 5 years, I participated in one art challenge throughout the month of October, and that's Drawlloweeen. I love Drawlloweeen. The prompts are fun. They're vague. They're open for interpretation, and it's just a lot of fun to draw them. And that's why I needed to bring my guest here, the creator of Drawlloweeen, the fuel that. So you write all the prompts, right?
That's correct. Yes,
Ah,
sir.
it's fun. It's amazing to be able to talk to you about this, just because it's been such a big part of my October just experience. There's going to haunted houses, there's watching Halloween movies, there's eating pumpkin spice, and then there's Drawlloweeen every day. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Uh,
We were saying just before we started that this is my first podcast interview about Drawlloweeen. So thank you for reaching out. I'm super glad to be here.
So, how did you come up with Drawlloweeen?
Oh boy. So I used to have a group of friends. I had an art group I called the Society of Malice. It was like a supervillain themed art group. And so the idea was you had a supervillain alias and we would use art to take over the world. So every week we would have different prompts at our meetings. I'm a huge Halloween kid. I have been forever. I worked a decade in the haunted house industry. And so when October rolled around, naturally it was like, okay, cool, we're gonna do Halloween themed prompts. Um, I'm a huge fan of puns and wordplay. Um, and then so I was putting together prompts based on that for my art groups year after year. And then one of my buddies posted it to, I think it was like the Cloak and Daggers forum. It's an art forum. And Drawlloweeen kind of took off. And next thing I knew, somebody the next year said, hey, we saw the hashtag Drawlloweeen online. And I looked, I was like, oh man, lots of people are are doing this. So started putting my prompts out every year. And here we are 7, 8 years later, something like that.
So, when you say you worked at haunted houses, was it like legit? I hit it at my desk, which is a rule that I said not to do. When you say haunted houses, does that mean like legitimate haunted houses, or your own house that you made a haunted house, or a theme park type haunted houses?
So I live in Austin, Texas, and we have a big name haunted house. I'm not going to drop their name, but it's consistently like a top 13 haunted house in the nation. So it's built with the attention to detail like Hogwarts at Universal Studios. The idea is when we're taking photos of sets, we want it to be movie realistic. It was super immersive. So I started as an actor, and then I started designing sets and props and costumes. And after a decade, every year it was, hey, Halloween's coming. In June, you start building the sets. And so I'm accustomed to getting into the spirit, as summer's starting to kick off. And then after I stopped working at the haunted house, I got out of college. I needed some sort of tradition to keep going forward, and Drawlloweeen sort of fit that niche.
I'm so glad that that happened. Because I'm
I'm glad it's
also a
been a
big.
I'm
Go
glad
on.
it's been a positive impact.
It's I think it was last year that my friends had a drink and draw at Four Color Fantasies, which is the local comic book shop.
Hmm.
And so I made sure that because I think last year was the first year that I've had a lot of difficulty keeping up with the prompts. I don't remember why, just life got in the
Yeah,
way. Um, but I made sure to have the list with me and post as many as I possibly could that night.
yeah.
So it's helped me out. Do you know about 24-hour comic book day?
I've heard of it. I've seen it. I've anxiously thought about doing it, but I've never participated.
I've been doing that for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And the moment I'm done with my 24, because it goes from Saturday to Sunday, and the moment I'm done with my comic on that Sunday, I'm like, all right, cool. I should either go sleep or rest. Nope, I have to finish my prompt for Drawlloweeen.
I love it. That's awesome.
And I know how you feel about getting ready for Halloween in June. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not a haunter. I don't go out of my way with a spooky, making any kind of like theme park actual
Hmm.
thing that you can walk to. But I do participate in Midsummer Scream, and Midsummer Scream is a big Halloween convention in Long Beach. And that one happens at the end of July,
Hmm.
unfortunately, not in this climate, but
No.
we had a virtual one, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to plan the prompts? You say, do you plan them in June or?
Well, so I'll keep like a running notepad where I'll think of an idea and I'm like, haha, that's funny. So like I must in January or something, I wrote down here's a preview prompt, right? Seasoning of the witch. I was like cooking and I saw like Old Bay seasoning and I was like, seasoning of the witch, cool. And so I'll write it down. And so I'll keep a little tally of stuff and then it's kind of like a mad dash to try to fill out the rest. And I'll come up with like 35 prompts and sort of work them against each other. Sometimes there's redundancies, sometimes I'll combine them. So I'm trying to come up with like a Goosebumps title, or like you walking down a Blockbuster, those of you who are old enough to remember, like the name you'd see on a horror VHS spine, or like tales to scary stories to tell in the dark, like a chapter title. So it's, you have no idea what's going on, but it paints this picture, and I want you to draw the picture painted in your mind. The weirder you can get, the more you can break the boundaries and play on words. That's the stuff I love. I love seeing unique interpretations on something that seems pretty obvious.
And I think that's my favorite part about your list is that sometimes the prompts on art challenges are a little too vague, where it's like the word is slimy,
Hmm.
and a lot of times when I tell people that they should try out doing art prompts, they'll see the word slimy and they're like, well, what am I supposed to draw? I'm like, well,
Yeah,
whatever is slimy. And they're like, yeah,
yeah,
but there's a lot of slimy things. I'm like, yeah, but draw whatever. Draw
yeah.
anything
There's
slimy.
no wrong slimy thing. I want to know your slimy thing. Yeah.
And so I like it that you have the book titles where it's like you get to be silly,
Mhm.
just run with it.
Yeah, yeah,
We've all read those little like we've I mean I hope I don't I think that most of my friends have read a Goosebumps, so I'm hoping
yeah,
that anyone can look at that and go from there. I think my
yeah.
younger friends might not be too familiar with Goosebumps.
Well, I mean, so like Tales from the Crypt also, I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
there's something akin to that in the generations around me that I'm not familiar with.
When you say Tales from the Crypt, what episode comes to your mind when you say it?
So when I was a kid, I don't know why. I remember the intro would come on and I'd watch it and then I'd run away because I was scared. But there's
Sure.
an episode where there's a lumberjack and I don't remember the plot of it, but at the end
That's
he
okay.
ends up in a tree at a lumberjack contest and somebody's going down the rows like cutting down trees and he's inside one. So classic twist of fate, right? He did something. He was unfaithful or didn't trust his wife or something. And then at the end, it flipped around and he got the axe. And the crypt keeper jumps up with his crazy pun and a laugh, and mwah, brilliant.
Um, I actually watched an episode of Tales from the Crypt like back in May,
Hmm.
because I vaguely remembered one where it was the ventriloquist dummy.
So good. Oh, Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, and Don Rickles.
Yep. Oh, that one's so good.
I did not remember like when that episode aired, I did not know these people, and so
Hmm.
when I watched it again, I was like, how did I? I didn't know who people were. They were not names that I've known. And then watching it as an adult, I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, I actually know these guys.
Yeah. There's one where Catherine O'Hara's like a lawyer and she gets pulled over in a small town court and she tries to use her big city lingo and she keeps getting into worse trouble. And it's sort of like a perdition or a hell where it's just like it keeps getting worse and worse and worse as the trial keeps getting pushed. And my buddy bought the DVDs a few years ago, so we sat down and just like binged them as we were working on one of our projects.
That sounds like a really good idea for a purchase for this
Yeah,
October. Huh.
yeah.
I need some more Crypt Keeper in my life.
Mhm.
I love that laugh. Like, just what's the actor's name? I'm gonna look it up right now. I need to
John
look it up.
Casel.
Thank you very much. That's even better.
Yeah, man. He said the animatronics on it, that we watched that intro. Um, we got a couple side projects that are like working on, but haven't quite hit the surface on anything. But we
Sure.
watched that Tales from the Crypt intro so many times where it's a miniature set and the lighting's just right and it hits the door and it transitions to like a full size set. And man, I miss tactical props in movies and TV. It makes such a difference. So I do this instead of a green screen a lot of the time.
Nice. No,
Yeah.
I love cameras going through miniatures. There's something about
Mhm.
it where you actually get to see that it exists, and you can tell that it exists because it has complete form.
I think the title video on the Drawlloweeen Facebook right now, I did that one year where I tried to do a little Tales from the Crypt intro and filmed in my living room. Uh, One day I'll have a real set. I'll be able to do it.
I look very forward to that. What has been one of your favorite prompts you came up with?
Oh boy, I probably should have done some research.
Well, it doesn't. You don't have to know the exact words of the prompt, but it could have been something that really inspired you to draw something that you were really proud of.
Um, boy, I the I liked Scream Train a lot. It seems really obvious.
Hmm.
But I saw so many different interpretations of that last year. I get joy out of seeing people break my prompt in an unexpected way. And it's like, oh man, that's really clever. Yes, okay. So I had a lot of real cool Scream Trains. Let me process it a little more. We'll
That's
get
okay. You can think
yeah,
about
yeah, we'll
that.
get
But
back to it. Yeah.
I think one of them that I remember, because I've drawn a lot of Drawlloweenie
Hmm.
drawings. But the one that comes to mind was, I think one was like an organ grinder, or like there was the musical box thing with
Hmm.
the,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember drawing that, and that was a lot of fun because I drew. I actually looked at the bad guy from Batman Returns, the guy with the monkey. He was
Yes.
he inspired a lot of my creation when I was drawing that. I drew the monkey on his shoulder and he was holding out his hat for money, and that was a lot of fun. I got really weird and caricature with that.
I love that. Yeah, that oh, he's a character actor too. You said that and I immediately pictured the dude.
I think that most of us who are into pop culture, especially like the creepy pop culture, we I might not know his name, but his
Yeah.
face is like vividly in my head. I'm even going down the list. I have like an IMDb
Hmm.
going on in my head and finding exactly who he, like everything he's been in.
Yep, yep, yep. It's like
Oh,
a
Death
mutant power.
Vespucci? Yep, there he is.
uh, um, the Halloween wizard. Now that I'm looking back at it, I feel like wizards are starting to get their due in Halloween stuff. Because growing up, it was like witches and warlocks, and when I was a little kid, I was a wizard for Halloween one year. I'm a big like D&D nerd, and it's kind of neat to see wizards get in their place. And I think one of my favorite pieces last year was somebody's take on the Halloween wizard, and I was just like, oh, I wanted to buy it from the artist, but I don't think they were going to sell it.
Did you contact them? Because I think that
I
most artists are like, all right, I like money.
I did. I don't remember if they ever got back to me about it. I've
Oh,
reached out to a
that's
couple
unfortunate.
artists. It is what it is.
I remember that drawing because I did one where his big hat was like the top of a pumpkin, and like
Hmm.
all the pumpkin guts were drooping down from the hat, so that was a
I
lot of
love
fun.
it. Love it.
What other spooky projects have you or are you working on right now?
So I've got a podcast I work on with three friends. 1031spky.com. We're the Necronomicomedy Hour. The idea is we are four friends who got locked into a spooky dungeon basement and were forced to broadcast AM radio to the underworld. Um, Season 1 has 6 episodes. We had 2 episodes in the can for season 2, and then COVID hit.
Sure.
So we just started picking up and recording season 3 episode 3 remotely. Season two's a big leap. We make a huge plot twist in it. But it's improv comedy, ads for spooky products, and then we'll tell stories about stuff that creeped us out. Most of the episodes, one of my buddies will have written a creepypasta, and they'll tell a scary story. So they're fun to binge, especially getting into the mood for Halloween. And we're working on getting those up on YouTube. So 1031sbky.com.
I think that I saw the Instagram for the podcast for the show, and I looked at the most recent update, and I was like, I don't know if that's COVID or the project's over. Like,
yeah, life. Everybody's kind of been in this whole mode, and so we just took a break from it. Didn't want to rush it.
This weird feeling of instability of like, or not being able to plan anything.
Yeah. Well, and just like making sure everybody's in a comfortable headspace to do stuff. Everybody's kind of feeling different strains and pressures from everything, and so it's not conducive to a lot of people's creative process. So it's making sure everybody's right and ready to go. But I feel like we're getting there. I think everybody's cracked and we're ready to just do something. So we're starting to record again.
Now, I don't know, you're in Texas right now, right?
Austin, Texas.
I don't know how Texas is, but Californians, a lot of us don't seem to be following the pandemic rules.
Well, so Austin, I think our county, we're a big blue county in a bright red state. Austin has been doing fairly well itself. You'll go outside of the city and you'll see people not wearing masks, but it's also a lot less people out. So it's depressing, but it was feeling like most people were staying home anyway. So it just kind of where you go in Texas, it depends. Yeah.
I just feel like I think I saw a whole church in San Diego have a big party that no one was wearing a mask, and if they were, I think they had one available if anyone said anything, but it was just hanging off their ear or on their neck just in case if authorities said, hey, wear that mask, they can bring it up, but for the most part not wearing a mask at all. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah. No, when this thing hit, I knew, like, realistically, we're not getting a Halloween this year.
Yeah.
Not to take away from anything that's going on, right? But like, I know not to trust us to do the right thing, and like,
sure.
I knew they were like, oh, it'll be over in a month or two. I was like, no, this is gonna go on for a while because nobody wants to wear a mask.
If people are believing that the Earth is flat, I refuse to believe that we can beat a pandemic that quickly.
Yeah, I don't. It's frustrating.
So you're saying that we're not going to get a Halloween, but we are going to get a Halloween. It's
Well,
just different.
We got Halloween on a Saturday.
Yeah.
On a full moon. We can't do anything. Like, you can't have a party.
Did you have plans for this Halloween?
So I've moved. Austin's an expensive city, and I don't make a ton of money, so I move a lot. And this year was the first year I got a place with a little bit of a backyard and a little bit of a front yard. I was like, I'm going to decorate for trick-or-treaters, and I'm going to have a Halloween party on Saturday. And like, no, I'm not going to do any of that.
I was actually, for the past 2 years, I was debating what I was going to do for Halloween. And the first idea was I was going to go to Anoka, Minnesota, the Halloween capital of the world.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course you would know. I was like, right when I bring up Anoka, he's gonna know exactly what I'm talking about.
The longest Halloween parade in the world, right? Like,
yeah, and this was gonna be their 100th year.
But I feel like a Halloween parade. I mean, down people's streets. Everybody stay at home, and then everybody in these cool car floats. I see footage from the Anaheim Halloween parade every year. I see some amazing props and floats. We don't have anything like that in Texas. Halloween's in the middle of football season, so no. But I feel like a Halloween parade would be a really cool idea. Everybody in their own cars and then driving up and down streets while everybody's in their house.
We have a few Halloween, because like we're most of the theme parks are closed. Well, all of the
Mhm.
theme parks are closed, hopefully. But there are some haunted. There's drive-through things that are going on in California where there's like a Stranger Things drive-through experience. And my
Interesting.
friends were telling me about it. They're like, "Oh man, this looks exciting." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to waste my gas. I don't. I'm not gonna."
Yeah, if you could like park your car on a conveyor belt like the Haunted Mansion and just let
Yeah,
me sit back and watch it, because I'm
I,
scared
I would
somebody's
be
gonna
down for
hit it.
that.
Yeah, somebody's
But
gonna.
this experience feels like traffic jam, a spooky
Yeah,
traffic jam, and I'm not
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
um, so I was thinking about going to Anoka, Minnesota, but then a lot of people who are in Minnesota who have been to this Halloween thing have not been they've been discouraging.
Hmm.
They've told me like, ah, don't go there, and I'm like, ah,
Yeah.
but it's got so much history. I should go. Um, but then I found out about Halloween Town in Oregon, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. My buddy
Interesting.
lives up there, so I was planning on going there. But other friends have also told me that the hotel that they filmed The Shining has a big masquerade thing on Halloween, and I'm like, ah, that also could have been an option. But
Yeah,
all of that doesn't matter. I'm
doesn't
gonna be at
matter.
home.
Yep, yep.
I'm actually going to be doing a thing for QuestionCrunch where it's going to be like a 13 hours of Halloween posts.
Nice.
And it's just going to be a bunch of different activities. So if you're interested in posting any kind of like video or anything,
Yeah.
feel free to let us know. 'Cause that'd be a lot of fun.
I was sort of thinking, I've got a Twitch stream, and I was sort of thinking of just hosting public domain horror movies on Halloween, just
Oh,
24 hours, and then popping in and whatever. Because I feel like something's got to be done. I'm trying to do Drawlloweeen, and that's like 3 ideas down the road, but
sure.
the timeline's right here.
I'm hoping that if
Um,
you do the public domain movie thing, I hope you're going to have an Elvira costume. That would.
I saw Elvira. I was in California, went to Not Scary Farms, and Elvira was performing there.
Yeah.
Man, that was fantastic.
That was a few years ago. She stopped doing her show
Oh,
quite a
really?
while. Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, I think it was a few years ago. Now I'm looking back. I'm like, ah, that would suck if it was just last. No, it wasn't last year. It was definitely not last year. It was prior to that. Because last year they canceled the hanging on us abruptly too.
Canceled the what?
The hanging was this pop culture show that they had where
Uh-huh.
they picked like the worst offender of the year would get hanged, and
Oh,
they had all these pop culture characters and people, and they would just murder them violently.
yeah. And
There was one scene where Trump and Putin were dancing
yeah.
the Beauty and the Beast song, and Trump was in his. I think Trump was in his dress, or was it Putin? I think it was Trump in the dress and Putin shirtless, but
Uh-huh.
it might have been Putin in a dress. I can't remember. It was a while ago. But no, they did not give us any kind of heads up that they were canceling it. It was
Yeah.
just we went there, we were at the show, and then at the very end they said rest in peace, the hanging, and they had the dates, and it was the show that's been going on since I think the 70s.
Yeah. Huh.
So that was
That's
disappointing.
yeah. If if you ever get a chance once this is all over to go to
Yeah,
Salem, New York, around Halloween time is incredible.
Salem, New
Uh,
York.
yeah.
Okay,
So where Salem, I'm sorry, Salem, New York. I was mixing two different things. Uh, Sleepy
Boston.
Hollow's in New York.
Well, Massachusetts, right?
Yeah. So when I
I
go
always have a
to
hard time pronouncing that state.
the New England area, I'm from Texas. We don't have seasons. It's hot and then it's not hot, but all the trees are dead.
Oh,
So
California's with you there.
so I like to go on my birthday trips to New England, and so I've done a Sleepy Hollow trip, and then I did a Salem, Massachusetts trip. I was just getting those confused, but Salem, Massachusetts is great because the streets have Halloween vendors everywhere. There's a bunch of haunted houses. I went and saw the Sanderson sister house exterior. There's like a pioneer village that they shot at, so you can go tour it and see where the Sanderson sisters were. Super cool trip if you're ever looking for a spooky getaway. Salem is wonderful.
I went to that. I went to that Salem. When you said Salem, New York, I was like, oh man, I hope that there's another Salem, because the one Salem I went to, I think I was in my early 20s, and it was not as spooky as I would like it to be. It was just like the big party in the main town area.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I need to go there. If there's a spookier side of Salem, I need to find that. I need
This
to
was
go again.
was it in October that you went?
It was Halloween.
Oh, okay.
It
I
was
went and
on
it
Halloween.
was yeah, I went the first or second week of October and it was pretty decked out. Maybe I feel like Halloween's grown a lot as I've gotten older.
Oh, that
Um,
that might be it. It might have gotten spookier because that was a while
yeah,
ago.
super suggested. It's great.
I just remember that was the first time I ever had a pumpkin spice donut from Dunkin' Donuts, and that was funny just because my buddy has told me that that was like the last time it snowed
Hmm.
on that Halloween weekend, and I'm not a big fan of weather because
Yeah.
I'm Californian, so snow freaks me out. And I remember my friend when it was snowing, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get Dunkin' Donuts," and I was like, "Why? There's weather going on. You're not supposed to walk out in snow. Come on."
Duncan, Duncan's a different thing up
Do you
there.
have chains on your shoes? Because that's the only way you're gonna make it through that snow.
They run on Duncan up there.
They really do. Just
Yeah.
because I think the first guest I had was the paranormal pixie, which is a friend of mine,
Uh-huh.
and she raves on Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
I kind of want to try to get Dunkin' Donuts to sponsor her in any way, because every time we're talking, I hear about Dunkin', and
Yeah.
just a heads up, they are not a sponsor for this episode, no matter how many times I mention Dunkin'. So, how are your plans? So pandemic has stuck you in home, and you're planning on doing movies. Um, if you do a Twitch stream, which would be fantastic, and I would love a link for
Mhm.
it. I might even, if you do that, I'll post a link if you don't mind. I'm on the
Yeah.
Question Crunch Halloween
Yeah.
area just because I want everyone to know about any kind of Halloween things going on. Which costume would you prefer to be in? Elvira, the Crypt Keeper, or what's his name? The dude from Twilight Zone,
Sterling?
Rod Sterling or Sterling? Because there's one
Sterling.
where it's like a time traveler has changed his name.
I mean, I guess it depends on the vibe of the show I'm doing. I don't know if I could pull off the Crypt Keeper costume. Elvira seems pretty breezy. um, what would I wear? I've one of my characters I had at the haunted house was a doctor clown named Dr. Charlie.
I don't
And
like that already.
I had little needles of glow in the dark liquid and a bottle of pills, and I don't smoke,
Sure.
but I would light a cigarette as a doctor, and I would have sweet tarts in a little medicine vial, and I'd give kids candy
Okay, so
at
you'd
the
be a
haunted
doctor,
house.
not a dentist, right?
Well, Doc Charlie, yeah, he's not a dentist. He's
Okay, thank God. Because I would feel like you're compounding my fears if it's a dentist clown.
Dr. Clown. He's Dr. Charlie. He got his degree from Internet University.
Uh,
But I've always had this dream of having him as like a sleazy like TV host in the 70s, like trying to milk people for money. Dr. Charlie and his medical cures. And so
that would be
uh,
a lot of fun.
yeah, but I don't know, the makeup and the lights. We'll see
I think
one day.
I think that if it's the lights in your house, I think that would really work with the sleaziness of this character.
He's pretty gross. I'm a big fan of his.
And I really don't want to encourage anyone to dress up like a clown, but this sounds like a good idea.
You have a clown claustrophobia?
I'm definitely colorphobic. Because this is the first time we've ever spoken.
Uh-huh.
But no, was it, I think 3 years ago? Yeah, three
Mm.
years ago. Was it 3 years or four? I don't know. Pandemic has made me
Hmm.
lose track of time
Yeah.
and inability to look back at the past and really be able to pick the number of how far it was. But my friends did a charity where I had to go to the Clown Motel in Nevada.
Uh-huh.
I think the scariest part about the Clown Motel, like the lobby was terrifying because it was just clowns all over the place.
Hmm.
But one of the scariest parts was going to this small town, which was Tanoka. I think it's Tanoka.
Hmm.
Tonopah. That's it, Tonopah. And there is like no diversity in this town.
Yeah.
So I went in the bar, and there's just like a sea of just white people, and it felt like being in a being in any sitcom in the 90s.
hmm What triggered your fear of clowns? Do you know,
No
or is it
idea.
just it's just always been that way?
My it's weird because I thought it was a later in life kind of fear, but then
hmm
my mom was like, "Oh yeah, you've always been afraid of clowns." I was like, "Okay, good, good. I'm glad I was consistent because I would be really upset if, as an adult, I decided I was afraid of clowns."
Yeah. I'm curious how much, if we could go back and look at the polling data, I'm curious how afraid people were of clowns before the miniseries, because I really feel like that's a lot of people's starting point on that phobia.
I have no idea. Just because
Yeah.
there's a photo of me at like one of my first birthdays getting makeup done, like my face paint done by
Yeah.
a clown, and
Uh,
that the face I have is just a face like stricken in fear. I look at the photo, I'm like, why did my parents do this? Because I don't look happy.
yeah.
So you're pretty political with your artwork. Do you deliberately avoid politics when creating your lists?
For Drawlloweene, I do.
Uh-huh.
So Drawlloween's about celebrating Halloween and spooky stuff. I know there are a lot of younger artists who partake in it, so I try not to use profanity or anything like super super violent. It's hard because it's Halloween, right? And it's kind of a celebration of weird macabre stuff. But I try to avoid it on that primarily. Personally, I work on all sorts of political arts. Um,
Of course.
yeah.
I feel like making Drawlloweenie sort of an escape from the everyday.
Well,
the,
I was not going to do it this year just because everything that's going on, I was going to either reuse an old list or just say I was just going to repost it. There's so many different Drawlloweene calendars out there, um, that I was like, I'll just any tagged Drawlloweene art that I think is interesting, I was going to retag just because everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter and the pandemic and the election, and it's just so much going on. And I wasn't sure if it was a thing I needed to do or should do. Um, but people were telling me, hey, folks want something to distract and pay attention to. So I'm going to do that. There was a local shirt company that was running a special. So I bought 25 Drawlloweene t-shirts. I'm going to sell those, and 100% of the proceeds are going to go to some Black Lives Matter related causes. So I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm going to at least draw some attention and try to do some good out of it. And so those links will go up. I got to get the shirts packaged and up on the website too. Um, so I don't know if I don't consider that political because it's people's lives, and that's important. So that's probably the closest I'd go to if you wanted to call that political, but I wouldn't.
Unfortunately, a lot of people would call that political,
Yeah,
and
well,
because like I've known someone's like, oh, politics. I was like, no, no,
yeah.
that those are human people.
Yeah, if it's not politics, if it's dealing with somebody's everyday, or
Yeah.
or everything is politics in that sense. And if they're saying that, they probably wouldn't buy a shirt to help somebody out. So, okay.
Yeah, it's true. I did an art challenge. I created an art challenge in May,
hmm
and people like it. People like being able to have actual
Yeah,
order in their life where all they have to do is look at this prompt
yeah,
and follow the prompt, where they don't have to do too much thinking, and the thinking that they do have to do is just creative. It's not,
yeah,
they don't have to worry about it because it's just a drawing. It's something silly that they can
yeah.
play around with.
Yeah, if I can help people achieve that lost time, like as an artist, that when you hit that zone and you're just focusing on that next line or the color, if I can help people achieve that and not think about everything that's going on and make it spooky at the same time, then perfect, perfect. Not
I am absolutely I'm so glad that you changed your mind about making another prompt list, because so much of my life has been canceled
yeah.
because of the pandemic. And if your if Halloween was not gonna have a new prompt list, I would have lost my shit. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So my thing is every year I try to, this is not what you're supposed to do with branding, but every year I try to change the branding up with a different influence, just because like I
Uh-huh.
don't want to be stale. So like last year was like horror VHS covers. Year before was like a Dracula vibe. So I was up late last night. I'm still trying to get the logo for this year figured out. I've got a couple fonts, and then the last thing I worked on was like a hand drawn font, sort of reminiscent of the scammy ads in the back of comic books, like X-ray specs and grow your own monster. So I think that's the vibe I'm going for this season. But I've got 2 days to wrap it up because I try to get it out September 1st, so people have a month to sort of plan it. And because there are other art challenges out there that are people's businesses,
Hmm.
and I don't own a business. Drawlloweeen was a thing I started to spread Halloween joy. So I don't have money to pump into it and spread the word. So I put the calendar out a month ahead to also help it just organically find an audience.
With all the drama that seems to always surround Inktober, I appreciate the drama listness
Yeah.
of Drawlloweeen. And
I don't follow a lot of people's other stuff. I see that the drama you're referring to.
yeah.
All I've asked, anybody can sell art books. You can use the name Drawlloweeen all you want. I just ask that people just refer back to my Drawlloweeen, like, hey, at
Just just
Drawlloweeen.
just make me a citation. Just
That's
let me
it.
know.
Yeah, yeah. Like use any if you can make money off of your art, please do it because we need more of that in the world. And I
Aw.
just want a little tip of the hat. That's all.
You sound like a Bill Finger when he was just asking for it. Just put my name on the comics. Just it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
a big thing. I just want to
Yeah.
just let people
Yeah.
know where this came from, and
Yeah.
I'd be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's interesting because in previous years, like the first year I did it, I would throw in some pop culture, and
Hmm.
then in later years, I'm like, you know what? If I do make a book of all my Drawloween drawings, I don't want any kind of worry of getting sued by any big companies. So I've
Yeah.
steered clear of doing actual pop culture characters. Um, and I've been successful with that. This year, because Halloween is so canceled, well, not
Hmm.
canceled, it's going to be different. Everyone's stuck
Yeah.
in their home. Uh, I don't do any planning. Like I know you're saying that
Hmm.
you have the Drawlloeen list; it'll be up in September.
Yeah.
I don't do any planning. I wait until I get there that day and I start working that day
I
because I think
super
that
appreciate that. Yeah.
I love art improv and I
Hmm.
like it that it's so fresh in my mind that I see it right there and I have to do this.
If
Um,
if there was a way that I could do that realistically and say like, okay, every night at midnight, boom, here's the prompt nobody knew, and
yeah,
have that actually work, that'd be fantastic. I just don't think I have that reach, power, money.
but then you would deprive us of you'd deprive us of all the artists that make really
Yeah.
gorgeous, colorful, perfectly
Yeah.
finished artwork.
I I was torn on that stuff at first because it's like these people worked on it a long time, but also like, oh, why say no to something,
Yeah,
if they follow the theme and they put a lot of work into it, like great, cool. That is a prompt for today. Excellent. Let's share the spooky.
I know. I think the first time I started doing art challenges, I was more like, hey, you've been working on that all month long. That's not an art challenge. You're supposed to do it
Yeah.
daily. But as I see like all the artwork, I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Anything that inspires artwork is a good thing. I don't
Art,
care
yeah.
how you follow the rules. It doesn't matter to me.
That's
Um,
that growing up. I'm the same way. Where it's like,
uh,
stop saying no, say yes more.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
This year I'm going to do it differently because in previous years I've done really spooky, scary
Hmm.
sketches. This year I'm going to clean them up and they're going to have nice solid lines and they're going to be less scary because I want people and kids to print them out and color them because I want to do anything I can to get people to have something to do
Yeah.
during October.
Love that. That's awesome.
So that's what I'm planning on doing, just because, yeah, I am, and that's why I'm going to do a show for Question Crunch on Halloween, just because I want to do anything in my power to keep Halloween going, because a lot of people are depressed and
Hmm.
sad, and it's really difficult to organize your celebration if you're depressed and sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you're very political, and I love your art, and
Thank you.
I think that's what made me such a big fan of you was
Thank you.
when I saw Drawlloweene, I was like, cool, I love Drawlloweene, this is amazing. And I saw that you were associated with it, and I clicked on your name, and I saw how political you are, and I'm like, ah, you're my kind of people. All right. And I feel like that happens often where I don't know
Yeah,
who the person is until I see them post, oh, I hate Trump, and I'm like, cool, we can be friends now. I need to be friends
yeah,
with you.
yeah. Shout
um,
out to the Majority Report and David Pakman on YouTube. Big, seriously, they're a big part of opening my eyes up to stuff. David Pakman's very well measured and balanced about stuff, and the Majority Report is just really smart about everything. It makes a lot of sense, and he's got an open challenge for libertarians to call in and debate him. And hearing libertarians call in and debate him, like, oh, stuff clicked. So yeah, Majority Report and David Pakman on YouTube.
I am going to check these.
Yeah.
Are they two separate YouTube accounts?
Yeah, well, so they're both podcasts, but they've got. I watch their YouTube shows. I watch the Majority Report most weekdays, and then David Pakman, I kind of catch clips. And they both got Twitch streams too that they stream on. So they sort of aggregate news from a progressive standpoint, and then let me know what's going on in the world, so I don't have to watch, a cable network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to actually watch any conservative talking.
Yeah. Well, they're good because they'll like bring that point of view into the fold, because I think it's important to know what's going on the other side and see
Sure.
how people are thinking and framing things. And as stuff has gone on, we do see more and more people on the other side of the aisle who are sort of bailing. A little too late for my taste, honestly, but it's important to see that because the change needs to happen on that side.
It's important to show that you can change.
Yes.
Even late change. I'm like, I want more people to know this, that you
Yeah.
don't have to stay the same.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm a firm believer in people. You should change your point of view when presented with new and challenging information.
I completely agree. And have you seen the movie Box Trolls?
It was a claymation. I think I did.
That was done
Leica?
by Leica.
Yeah. I think I saw it. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about that movie is that they say that if you can change for the better, and this isn't actual dialogue in their movie, but the message I got from it is, if you can change for the better, do it. It's not that hard. You can actually change yourself.
Yeah.
You make you. That's an actual line for the movie. But because like a lot of people are under the impression that, oh, I'm perfect as I am, so I shouldn't have to change for anyone. I'm like, yeah, no, that's cool. You should accept you for who you are, but you can change.
Yeah.
What do you think Ted Cruz is dressing up for Halloween?
As a human.
But he doesn't even know what that is, so why would he dress?
I mean, so as I've thought about everything, if you had to ask me, Alex Jones is a plant by shape-shifting Republican slugs, right? Like, he's here and he's like, oh, all this stuff is crazy, it's nonsense, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, oh, Alex Jones, you're insane. But then all this other stuff's actually happening, but because it's not as radical as Alex Jones is saying, everybody's letting the shit slip. So like, I have this idea, you see like Ted Cruz from here and he's human, but underneath it's just like the slug with 80 hands. It's just kind of like always writhing. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't care about Ted Cruz. Nobody I know likes him, and the man still gets votes. I don't understand it. Everybody hates him. The people who vote for him hate him.
Really? Like,
because they'd rather have him than a liberal.
Oh my God, where it's just like, Ted Cruz is awful, but he's red, so.
Yeah. Yep.
That is depressing.
Yeah.
I think that's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah. There's a lot of crazy shit that goes on in the world, and Alex Jones, if you got him to talk about it, that would be weird.
Well, he's like, oh, there's a there's a child trafficking ring in a basement that doesn't exist. And then like, hey, Catholic Church, like
Yeah.
there's actual things going on, and everybody's like, no, 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 we're looking at the pizza place though.
Or
And
like
then, oh,
if Alex Jones was like a yeah,
Epstein, right?
voter suppression is going because Trump is attacking mailboxes. And it's like
Yeah,
that's a thing that's happening.
yeah, yeah, but no, 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 let's talk about the frogs. uh, yeah.
Any sort of sneak peeks you can give us for your Drawlloweeen list?
I think I mentioned it earlier. We're gonna go with Seasoning of the Witch.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've got so it's interesting. I have a lot of non-English speakers who will hit me up and ask me about translations of prompts. A lot of folks from Mexico. I get a lot of folks from Russia and Belarus, interestingly enough. Um, I've had some South American folks write me, and I'm like, I'm not sure how to translate, so I'll have to go into Google Translate and do the best I can. Um, so I'm nervous about a couple of prompts because I'm worried they might be a little American centric. But I've got two reality show related prompts. What other secrets do I have? I've got one or two prompts on there that are less, I want you to decipher this prompt, and more, I want you to kind of go wild with it. So it's like,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's sort of like make your own concept instead of trying to do what everybody else is doing.
I think
So
my favorite part about you saying that you have translation issues is that because a lot of people have told me that Halloween is such an American, such a United States holiday.
yeah,
I like hearing that other people across the globe are, celebrating Halloween.
there was one 2015, 2016. I had like an urban legends, and I
Yeah.
was getting like Southeast Asian myths in my inbox. There was one that's a ghost that's a woman, and from her abdomen down is just exposed guts, and that she kind of flows in trails. And I was like, oh shit, this is rad. Because I was expecting people to do like the Mothman and the
Sure.
Chupacabra. But like, no, cool, half intestine woman, neat.
I remember that was my first year was 2015, and I remember I did this. What the hell is that name of the monster? It was like this weird flying thing in New England, or it was in the Northeast, and it has like a big beak and like big wings, and it's like it has only one eye. I forget what it's called. It wasn't Jabberwocky. No, it wasn't that. Was it?
Oh,
I don't know. But no, I specifically remember that because I looked up different urban legends because I didn't want anything that I already knew about because I like
yeah.
learning stuff. I
Hmm.
like exploring. I'm a journalist, so I wanted to
Yeah.
find something I've never heard before. Um, I recently heard about this not this new it's not new, but it's new to me. This one monster, and I think they're in, where was it, Chile? Because I did a comic where, and this was also an urban legend or a myth or whatever, and I was looking up fox snakes, because I wanted to make a joke about Fox News reporters being a snake,
Hmm.
and I looked up this mythical creature. Well, I googled fox snake, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's an actual snake. That's a fox snake. No, I don't want an actual snake. And so I put snake fox, and I found this mythical creature, and I was like, really? And what it is, it's a serpent that looks like a fox. I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. But no, that's cool that you're getting more global urban legends. I like that.
it's
That's
it's pretty interesting. I'll notice like I'll have like a chunk of questions in Spanish, and then I'll have some Russian, Eastern European blocks of language that I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And but it's cool. It's really neat seeing people on the other side of the globe do takes on an idea I had. It's super weird, super interesting. I'm glad it's affecting people outside of my sphere.
I feel like you're kind of tricking the world into celebrating Halloween everywhere,
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
which I think is perfect. That's great. That even if their celebrations in October are not as commercialized as
Hmm.
our Octobers are, you're still like, oh, here's an art challenge, and it's called Drawlloweeen. I bet you can guess why. That's cool. That's because you're pretty much, if they are devoting their October to your celebration, they are celebrating Halloween
Yeah,
all month long.
yeah,
Which I'm all for.
yeah,
I know I've had some friends who are saying that, like, oh man, Halloween shouldn't be one night because there's so much that I should do that I can't put it in one night. I'm like, you're doing Halloween wrong.
yeah. It's a whole month. In my head, that veil between worlds starts on the first and closes on the first. So you've got a whole month of that spooky stuff. It's just strongest on the 31st.
I've had so many Halloweens this year
Yeah.
because I had what was it? I had Quarantine-a-ween,
Mm-hmm.
then I had Half-a-ween,
Mm-hmm.
and then I celebrate Summerween.
Yeah. Gravity Falls.
I haven't done it yet, but I really want to make a watermelon jack-o'-lantern. I just
Mm-hmm.
always forget to do it, and that's kind of depressing because I love watermelon and I love Halloween. So why haven't I done it? Because that sounds like a delicious idea.
Yeah.
Have you celebrated any of like the Halloween celebrations, or do you keep it strictly to October?
Um, no, not this year. I haven't. So last year I for the first time ever, I watched all of the Friday the 13th movies during the summer. So I was like, I'll do spooky stuff, but I'll do timely spooky stuff. So like in the spring I'll watch The Fog.
Yeah.
Um, and then in the summer I'll do Jason movies. So it's more of adapting the mood to the season we're in. Like saw Midsummer in the spring, you know.
I think that's perfect. So like
Yeah.
a trick or treat stays in October.
Yeah, I think it's like ice cream, right? Like I would eat ice cream every day, but then it gets less special, so you got to change your dessert.
I agree completely because while I had a lot of mid Halloween Halloweens,
Uh-huh.
they all have they all have their own flavor. Like when I did
Yeah.
Halloween,
hmm
I made sure to use a lot of pastel colors and make it really
Yeah.
focusing on bunnies and eggs.
Yeah. Well, so I used to do to kick off the summer, I would have my spooky like tiki party.
Yeah.
It was actually one of my prompts one year was Doom Lagoon, and Doom Lagoon is the name of my creature from the Black Lagoon like tiki party every year. So that's
Nice.
always kind of like a surf swamp monster jam that I do. I just thinking to do it this year.
Ah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you could do a Zoom. What was it?
Yeah. There's something about
Doom Lagoon on Zoom.
That's pretty good. There's something though about the smell of like Mai Tais and sunblock, and then like the cold AC blowing while the reef gods from the Black Shores playing in the background or something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a very vivid picture. I haven't been to your party, but I'm like,
If
I miss this.
yeah.
I miss the smell of sunblock on everyone. Which sounds gross, but it does. It's a really key ingredient
hmm
to summertime celebrations.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you watch what was it? Scary Things to Read in the Dark. I can't believe I'm
Scary stories to
blanking.
tell in the dark.
Oh my God, yeah.
The movie.
Pandemic's weird on your brain, and I haven't had coffee today, so this is ridiculous. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Have you seen it? Did you see that movie?
I did see the movie. I saw it in theaters.
I did too.
I loved the visuals of the movie. I think
Correct.
so the movie, if I remember right, the movie starts off and you hear on the radio they're talking about the Vietnam War, I think,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh, okay, all right, this is going to be interesting because why would you talk about the Vietnam War and then never address it later in the movie? And then they did that. It felt like it could have been a lot more than it was. Visually, it was great. I loved it. It felt like it was trying to do that Goosebumps movie that came out with Jack Black, which was fun and it's all right, and had a lot of that one felt like it had at least a little more
Understanding of what they were trying to do.
yeah, yep.
because I really did. That Goosebumps movie was better than it had any right to. I was surprised
Yeah,
at how much fun that movie was.
yeah,
I feel like scary stories to tell in the dark. I have a hard time complaining about. Like, I don't think it's that good of a movie, but
yeah,
it's so visually gorgeous. Like when
yeah.
when they're riding their bike through the town and you see
Mhm.
all these colors of autumn perfectly done. It's
Yeah.
like you look at any of the shots on that movie and you pause it, it's a poster. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, working in the haunted house industry and working on props. Well, I'll watch movies like that specifically for the handiwork done because they use practical special effects, you know. So they'll build a suit on somebody. A lot of those shots reminded me of Crimson Peak, Guillermo del
Yeah.
Toro's haunted house movie. And so yeah, you have somebody in this like partial prosthetic that's kind of walking down a hallway. I was like, oh, that was great, cool, that was worth the ticket price.
Yep.
We'll wait to the next one.
I'm a huge fan of practical effects, and whenever
Yeah.
that's in a movie, I'm like, you already got me in
Yep.
you already got me in the audience.
Hmm.
And I'm glad you compared it to Crimson Peak because I feel like a lot of Guillermo del Toro movies, whenever I hear people talking about it and they say, oh, that movie's not scary, and it's like his movies are more of a gothic fairy tale. They don't necessarily have to be a horror movie. You're not there to to
Yeah.
jump. You're there to enjoy the story that's being told.
I'm a big believer in knowing the kind of movie you're going into because if you go
Yes.
in thinking like, oh, it's gonna be like what was that House on Haunted Hill, where it's like, oh, I'm expecting like a bell to crush somebody's head and an Iron Maiden to pop out of a wall, and like, no, it's not that movie at all. It's slow paced and it takes its time and it builds attention and there's little clues and like, man, I love it. You just got to know that's what you're stepping into.
I saw Drag Me to Hell with
Mm-hmm.
someone who does not know Sam Raimi,
Oh no.
and they were very confused. They did
I
not
could.
like that film at all. They're like, why was the goat talking? And I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I had a similar thing. I saw the new Evil Dead with somebody who just had no idea what the fuck was going on, and they're like, "That was really weird movie."
That would be a really odd experience
Yeah,
to watch the new Evil Dead and like having to explain what happened.
yeah, it was good though. Oh, it was so good.
Can you give us a back to your projects? I know we were
Oh yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
horror movies,
yeah,
and I could talk about horror movies forever. We're both spooky fans, so I think we
yeah.
can have a
Yeah.
long episode just talking
Hmm.
about movies. Um, but can you give us any kind of like maybe a possible date for your podcast, your the radio show?
103 on SPKY.
Yes.
Um, we are recording the second half of our next episode this week. Let's see, we're coming up on September 1st. I'm hoping we'll have an episode out before the 1st of October of the Necronoma Comedy Hour. But there's 8 episodes you can binge right now on that website. And then we're trying to get them up on YouTube. The first episode's up on YouTube right now. So hopefully soon, next couple
I'm
weeks.
definitely going to catch up.
Yeah,
I was
appreciate
looking
it.
at all your projects, and I saw that you are also you recently started doing a web comic that I need more of.
Well, so Spook Troops is what you're referring to?
Yeah.
So Spook Troops that's my project I've been working on forever that everybody's like, when are you gonna finally do it? I've actually, I don't know if you can see, there's a puppet of the main guy back here in my
I can't
office.
see it.
Um,
Unless it's like, holy hell, you have amazing green lighting? Like,
I was just a green light bulb from the.
yeah, but that made everything look like it's in a comic book,
Oh, maybe I should keep it like that then.
right? Look at
It
that,
took all
the
day
cool
getting the black light
shadows.
mounted. So Spook Troops is a concept I came up with. It's about a man named S.J. Winston who has a haunted pair of coattails. He understands ghosts aren't scary and mean. They're just misunderstood and they've been away from the other side too long. So he works in helping ghosts get back to the other side, or if they don't want to go back to the other side, he makes them comfortable or offers them work. So all of his technology is ghost powered. And he's got a program called the Spook Troops, where he's got 3 kids, Becca, Oswald, and Olive, who help him as spirit guides. And so it's just like a little passion project. It's like part Archie, part Scooby-Doo, part Tales from the Crypt, and it's just sort of my thing I go to in my free time where I just want to draw something creepy, crazy, and
When you have free time.
Yeah. I work on too many things and don't get enough done. I'm guilty of it.
I think that most artists are super guilty of that.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I love the idea of having telling people that ghosts are not necessary. I like the idea of helping people with where they are.
Yeah.
That's I think it's an important lesson to teach, and especially with the idea of how much ghosts. The whole story of ghosts is just a lot of them are really upset, and there's the unfinished business, and just the idea of people helping them finish their unfinished business is really rad.
Everybody's always hunting and busting ghosts, and S.J. Winston was like, well, maybe we should understand them.
It's funny that you say busting ghosts and then Winston.
Yeah. Well, so S.J. Winston actually was, I named him after Stan Winston. So it was like an allusion to special effects guru Stan Winston.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you read the Ghostbusters comic book?
Not regularly, but I do have a copy of Ghostbusters Meet Ninja Turtles that I bought myself a couple years ago. One of the artists of the Ghostbusters comic follows Drawlloweeen.
Dan Schoening?
Yep, Dan Schoening. Yeah. So I keep an eye on it through him because I like interacting. Cool dude. Hey Dan, if you're listening, what's up?
Well, because there's one comic book where they go to a military base and there's like a general that's a ghost, and Winston does his diligence, and he lets the ghost know that he's dead and explains the situation, and the general actually does pass on.
Oh, nice.
They don't bust him, they don't capture him. They explain shit and they help the ghost. And like Winston, there's this really sweet moment where Winston's giving him a salute as he's disappearing. And I'm like, that's gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, I dig that.
What words would you give to anyone aspiring to make, I don't know, an art prompt to do something to celebrate Halloween, like to be you, I guess?
Just do it. Don't worry about what other people are going to think about it. Nobody sees the world the way you do but you, and so you're worried about other people are going to judge it or worried you're copying someone, and like that's not the case because nobody has been through the things you've been through. So put down the things you see in your head and share it with the world, and that's what art's about, is sharing your slice of reality with everybody else. So just do it.